you are not your job title. You can take those same skills and start your own business. Because here's the reality. At the end of the day, when people are asking you who you are, they're not really wanting to know if you're a mother and you got kids.
No.
They're really wanting to know what's in it for me.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
And so if you have not communicated that within that first 30 seconds, you've lost them. And you've got to catch them at hello. Do you realize that our attention span today is less than that of a goldfish? It's got to be so immediate. So that's the thing that needs to be in the headline. It needs to jump off the page,
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. I am Dawn-Nicole, and you are in for a treat because you are watching another episode of Talks on Demand, episode 3. And today we are so lucky and so blessed to have with us none other than Yolanda M Smith. Yolanda is the owner of Branding for Success, LLC. She is also a Queen City Women in Business member, hailing from Indiana. Yolanda, how you doing today?
Hey, sis, I'm so excited to be here. Oh, my goodness. We got so much to talk about. So much.
So much to talk about. Listen, I have been waiting on this episode, Yolanda, because I knew that you were going to be talking about boosting and building your brand, boosting and building your brand in 2025. And then the world changed. Like in between the time we scheduled this episode, right? Yeah. Women are hearing that they may need to change. They may need to switch. So there's so much to talk about. But before we jump into this, I want our listeners and our viewers to know Yolanda is the real deal. Yolanda is award-winning. Yolanda has been published, right, about her work. Yolanda has held stages. Yolanda, you've done all of that. And Yolanda, they're going to learn and know, like I know shortly, aren't they, Yolanda?
That's right. We're getting ready to drop some nuggets for real.
Yes. We're going to drop some nuggets. So we want you to kick back and relax and enjoy this episode of Talks on Demand. So I'm just going to get right into it, Yolanda. The world is changing. There's a lot going on in the world where women who were planning in December and they were like, this is what I'm going to do. This is who we are. This is how we're going to approach. They're now learning that they've got to pivot and switch because things are changing in our government. Corporations are rolling back things. Let's talk about it. What are some things you're hearing when it comes to branding in ways that women are thinking about pivoting? Like, what are you hearing as a brand expert with Branding for Success?
Well, that's a very good question because, once we had the changing of the guards, a lot of things went into action very swiftly. And I think just based off of that, some have to pivot, right? I mean, there's no option. They have to pivot. And some are just wondering what's the uncertainty of what's next. So I think as it relates to the brand, this is the time right now where you realize you are not your job title. First and foremost, you are not your job title. Your job title is on loan to you. Therefore, you need to align to your ownable assets. Yeah. What is that expertise? What are those superpowers? What is the value you can deliver to other people? You've been doing this forever, but sometimes we get real comfortable saying, I'm the director of this and I'm the vice president of this and I'm this and that. And we realize that it can be gone in an instant.
Wow. Yeah. Speaking of that, and that's kind of your story. And that's why we brought you on today, because I think you're the queen of understanding how you take what you were doing in that corporate space. And you raised a good point, right? I am not my role, right? I am first me, and I've contributed to this role, but this does not define. Can you talk about, especially right now, where maybe someone has been in a corporate role for, I don't know, 5 years, right? And they're now being laid off and they think the world is over. Can you talk a little bit about your story? Because I think you were in the corporate space and then you took those skills and created a business.
That's right.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, corporate is that thing right now that there's not the level of stability we once thought was about going to a job and staying on it for 30 years, right? Those days are gone. I mean, most companies don't even offer a pension now. So it's not something that you want to hold dear. Instead, it's about taking those transferable skills. What is the expertise you've learned when you think about how you contributed to that company and potentially made them millions of dollars, right? What were those skills that you used to be able to do that? So it's really understanding, and that's what I call your value, so that you can create the value proposition and help somebody else understand you can take those same skills and start your own business. You can take those same skills, become a consultant. You can take those same skills and help other people do things that they need to do and accomplish what they need to accomplish. So again, it's not thinking about what was my title, it's thinking about really what are the skills, leadership, strategy, right? Were you good at problem solving? Do you have those technical skills? Are you good at statistics? Whatever it is that is your thing, right? Whatever your thing is, I mean, you do strategy like no other, right? So I mean, but when you think about that, that's your jam, right? I think about personal branding and business strategies, my jam. We do it differently, but still, but you got to understand what's your thing, right? That you do better than most people. And if you were to get an award, what would that award be for?
Oh, that's so good.
That helps them. That helps
Oh
them.
my gosh. Yes. And we're going to dig into it. Look, I don't even want to go to the next question. I want to unpack that. Stay right there for a second. So this is the thing, right? Because, and I don't know why my heart is leading me to there's so many women who will be leaving corporate America this year. There's so many women whose eyes are opening up and they're saying, you know what? No more, right? Because like you said, it's unstable. It's turbulent. Lord knows it's turbulent right now. So to your point, what I hear you saying is, let's say that I was a woman who was in marketing at a corporation and I did all the things, right? I did all the things. I did lead generation. I did some statistics. I did some advertisements, some commercials, some social media. But what I was really, really good at was statistics, like understanding who's using our products and how they're using it. What I hear you saying is, even when you get out, you don't have to try your hand at all the things. What makes a good brand is figuring out the one thing that's your jam, your specialty. So if it was statistics, you could really win. You could get some money out here. You could build a nice brand, right? Can you talk about how focusing on the one thing is really part of creating that brand? Can you talk about that, Yolanda?
Absolutely. Just like you want to go after a niche market, typically you want to have a niche audience. You want to have a niche offering. What do I say? Keep the main thing the main thing. You can always branch off and scale later. But if this is something that you do and there is a need in the marketplace for what you do. Because if it was me and you came to me and said, hey, I can do your data and analyze it, I'm like, I'm in, because a lot of people want to do the things that they do well. They don't want to be the employee of their companies. They want to be the CEO. And so they've got to find their who. So people are looking for people with specialized expertise to come in and do the things they are not good at, or maybe they even know how to do it, but they don't want to do it. Just because I know how doesn't mean I want to, right?
That's so true. I love that. And speaking of, I love that you're talking about the niche market, because girl, we're going to have to do a whole nother episode on the niche, right? Because you hear for real. Because you hear some people say the riches are in the niches. I've heard that. And then you hear some people who are scared to niche, right? You've heard it. You especially some Black and brown business owners, they're like, I do it all. I'm not going to niche. But someone told me before, Yolanda, that the niche is not what you do, is who you do it for, right? A niche market is that right? Would you agree with that?
That's absolutely correct. And this is the myth. The myth is that niche means small. That if you're going and there are riches in the niches, I say it. I'm one of those that says that. But people think it's small. No, it's not small. It's targeted. It's very targeted. That audience could be 100 million strong. It's just that you're niching down to that audience so that you can talk to them in a way that connects with them. It's about the messaging that would resonate with that audience. Whereas if you think you're speaking to everybody, guess what? You're speaking to nobody.
Speaking to nobody. You better drop the mic tonight on here. Listen, Yolanda, we're about to get into this. Can I say something though? So, you and I are having this conversation, and we know that women business owners will be listening, some who are just starting, some who've been in business a while, and men will listen. I want to just share something to sort of echo what you just said. I remember when I was new in business. So I started business like full scale in 2015, right? But then and I still didn't know what I was. And let me just say, right, it's going to take you a couple of years to figure this thing out. Let's just be very honest. But in 2017, I started like really making some money, and people started to know my name. And I remember I remember I tried to get into something that wasn't my specialty, and the client called me out on it. And so what happened real fast is we had an idea. We had a client who was a chiropractor,
Mhm.
and we were offering him strategy. We were trying to map out his chiropractic office. And then he turned around at that time and said, "Hey, do you know anybody who can do X?" I don't even remember. I think it was like build courses, and I wasn't doing that then. And I
Mhm.
said, "Oh, I can do that too." And I remember he looked at me, and this was after spending an entire day of like process mapping out,
Mhm.
his office, right? How to make it more efficient. I remember him wanting someone to do courses next, and I raised my hand for it. And he just looked at me and said, "I don't think so." And I said, "Why not, doctor?" And I forget whatever his name. And he goes, "You just spent the whole day mapping out my process office, and I thought you did that well. But I'm not thinking you do everything well." And
There
that
you
was the
go.
first time that I was like, yikes, it came back to bite me. Don't be so eager. Can you talk about that for a second?
Oh my God, we just had this conversation the other day. Here's the thing I tell people. You bet you're going after the shiny penny, every little thing, or trying to be that one-stop shop.
Yep.
Now, the only way you can be the one-stop shop is if you're hiring the experts in all those different areas. I'm not
Come on.
saying you can't, but
Come on.
you as the individual cannot. You will lose credibility so fast going outside of your lane just because we're trying to, do everything and be everything to everybody. And you feel like if you say that you can't do it or you say no, that that's going to, be a mark against you. And instead, they really respect you for that and will be more likely to refer you to other people knowing that you do your thing very well, right? That's why I go back, keep the main thing. When people start operating outside of their lane,
Yeah.
this is when it gets tricky because it's not sustainable. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, the trend is to do this. I'm gonna go do this. The trend is, the trend right now is AI. But guess what? I'm going to utilize AI, but I'm not going to try to be the expert in AI.
Come
You know
on.
what I mean? I have to
Yeah.
know enough to be dangerous to guide my clients and things of this nature. But no, we can't do, and it's not beneficial to us to go to try to learn
Yeah.
everything so
Yeah.
that we can't have multiple expertises. You'll have a few. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh. We're gonna need to bring you back, okay, Yolanda, because you got the knowledge, honey. Let me just tell you something that's interesting. Being in Queen City Women in Business as the founder, I have access to hundreds of women, as you know, right? And we connect women to opportunities. But every now and then a corporate client comes back to me and says, Dawn-Nicole, I had a conversation with this business owner, and I'm not loving this business owner because they tried to present 30 different things to me, and it
Mhm.
feels like a jack of all trades. So women especially, because we're naturally nurturers, we want to fix things,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
don't realize how in business that really hurts them when you show up, like you said, outside of your lane. Be
Yes.
good at something and lean into it. So I love that advice. Okay, Yolanda, I'm gonna switch gears. I want to talk about this. We're in 2025. We're still at the top of the year.
Mhm.
What are some trends? What are you seeing? Like, are you feeling like what used to work 2 years ago is not working, or is it sustaining? Like, talk to me about the 2025 small business branding trends that small businesses should be aware of.
I think what we see, we just talked about it, AI, is it
Hmm.
cannot be ignored. That's not
Hmm.
something you're going to want to ignore, and
Hmm.
particularly as it relates to your brand. And so the way that AI can be used can definitely enhance the brand because part of your brand is, yes, you then create it, but how do you develop it? The only way you can develop it is activating it in the marketplace, right? So
Yeah.
that means there has to be magnetic messaging. You have to have a compelling brand presence. You have to have a dynamic brand identity, and AI can come in and help to shape some of that. But one of the other things, people talk about authenticity, and right
Hmm.
now more than ever, how you show up is so critical, and people
Hmm.
are seeing right through it. I mean, there's so much skepticism out in the marketplace just based on the fact that I think the pandemic, particularly in the coaching space,
Mm.
created so many darn coaches.
Yes, it did.
Everybody claims to be a coach, right?
Yep.
And it's a hard thing because people are asking for high value dollar.
Yeah.
And when you don't get what you pay for, it's very disturbing. And so people like us then get those people coming, and now they're questioning our credibility and if
Yes.
we're good and if they can get. So it's going to be super important that you authentically show up. You're able to tell those stories, right? Just like
Yeah.
you just told the story of what happened to you. Be vulnerable, be
Yeah.
authentic, authentic with it, because
Yeah.
people are going to connect with your story, not your glory, right? It's
Yeah.
not about being all buttoned up. I tell my clients all the time, it's not about being buttoned up and so
Yeah.
well put together that they can't identify with you. I
Wow.
have a client and she actually does, her thing is around fitness, fashion, and faith.
Yeah.
But when I tell you she is beautiful and she is fit, and for her age, she is extra fit,
Yeah.
but everything is so glamorous. I said, I don't even think they can see themselves. I said, so sis, I'm gonna need you to get on there, sweat a little bit, get to work
Yeah.
out, show them what it took to get to this
I
level,
love
right?
that. Yeah.
And that's the authenticity piece. You've got to really show so that they can see, give them hope. People need hope that, okay, if I do what she does, if I follow the steps that she gives me, I have a chance of really being able to see some optimal results.
I I love what you're saying. And you know what? It is so true, Yolanda, because there, as you were speaking, I was thinking about times when, as a leader, right? I try to be very relatable, but there once was a time where I thought I had something to prove, right? And
Yeah.
so I had to show up a certain way because maybe I was a young leader and I was managing or leading older people or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember one time it was a Friday. I came into our office and I was dressed down. And I usually won't dress down, even though we had a dress down
Mm-hmm.
policy. I would
Mm-hmm.
still have on a blazer and still look the
Mm-hmm.
part. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I actually dressed down, like all the way dressed down. And the people, more than one person said, "Oh, I like this on you." And I looked and I said, "What?" And they was like, "I like you like this." And what they were really saying is, you look relatable
There
today.
you
You look
go.
approachable.
Yes.
And people
Yes.
don't, so to your point, people don't realize how important that is, how much that matters. So I
Yes.
appreciate you saying, yes,
Yes.
you can show your story or your glory, excuse me, but show the behind the scenes of the story too. Show us that part. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if I don't know what you went through, first of all, that too adds some credibility. When I tell the story about me getting demoted and losing my team in corporate America,
Yeah.
and how I was able to utilize my brand to 2 years later get promoted back and asked to set up a whole new department. And, but imagine getting demoted because they said there was no confidence in the
Yeah.
leadership. 2 years later, getting a whole brand new department and saying, you go staff it, you do your thing, and then coming out 2 years after that and becoming the boss of me, right? Becoming
Yeah.
a full-time entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
mean, they're like, what happened to you? Oh yeah, I give it to them straight 100, because I want you to know that the things that I'm giving to you, I have done. I have proven that they work.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I'm not sitting here all just perfect and buttoned up. I've been through the valleys. I fought through the fears, the whole thing. So that authenticity piece is huge.
Let's talk about that. So I thought, again, you're doing this to me because I was going to go to one question, but then you just unraveled the light bulb here. So I want to talk about this because in all my years of coaching, I'm always telling women, especially who are looking to build their brand, right? There needs to be a part of your story where you need to be vulnerable. You need to let people in. And oftentimes I will get a woman here or there who says, "I don't know. I don't need to they don't need to know me like that." How much? So let's talk about how much of the story, what is the right part of the story? When is the right time you understand what I'm saying? For
Mhm.
example, if I had a crack addiction, but now I'm clean and I'm a leader and I'm fierce and lean and mean, you get some women who says, "I don't want to tell that part." Is there a way to tell it in a way that is appropriate, and when and how? Can you talk? You understand what I'm saying, Yolanda?
I do. And I think that some things are left best unsaid. Some
Okay.
are, because
Yep.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
If someone will use it against you
Mm.
versus using it to better themselves or to understand and better relate to you, it can be a situation, right? And that's why people are skeptical, particularly in the corporate space, to say, I don't want them to know my business. I don't want to let them in. Now, if you're in your own business and
Right.
you're really trying to help people understand that no matter what you're going through, you can overcome, you can get to the other side. I've been down in the valley, and now
Yeah.
I'm standing at the mountaintop, but I wasn't always there. That's one thing. In the corporate space, I think you have to use a little bit of discernment in
Yeah.
terms of what you will tell.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, why am I telling it?
Mm.
Why
That's
am I
good.
telling it?
Yeah.
So it's one thing to say, I want to connect and be relatable. And it's another thing just to say, I'm running my mouth just to run my mouth and tell my business. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
there's some in the workplace, some are there and they run their mouth a
Yes,
lot. You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes.
But they're less vulnerable to something negative happening to them.
Yeah.
Women of color, on the other hand, feel like you can use it against them. And then
Yep,
you've
yep.
been in that situation and you've experienced the microaggressions and the different things that take place, it makes you less hesitant. So this is what I say. This is
Yeah.
my rule. If you're buttoned up to here, I need you to give me a V, open it a little bit.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? You want somebody to feel like they know a little bit about you. Are you married? Do you have children? Your kids go to school. Do they play sport? So it may be some surface things, but you're allowing them just a little bit to have conversation with you, to feel comfortable to ask you, well, how was your weekend? What did you guys do? Versus them feeling like they know nothing about you. Because the reality is that when people connect with you, when they feel like they know your story, those are the people that will promote you. They'll hire you. These are the people that will sponsor you. They'll nominate you. Heck, these are the people that'll marry you and loan you money. It don't get better than that, right? I mean, this is just it. But the reality is that people feel like they have to know you. That's why connection is the new currency. Your
Oh,
net worth is tied to your net worth, right?
woo.
It's the
Wait,
truth.
do y'all see a t-shirt coming? Connection is the new currency for Yolanda, right? That's her company. You owe her money if you use it. Branding for success. So Yolanda, this is so good because I just want to say this real piece and then this short, quick piece, then I want to move on. I think you're absolutely right that connection is the new currency. So we, QCWIB, Queen City Women in Business, we just hired. We have a team, right? We're growing, we're expanding, yay. And one thing that I did differently this time is when I was introducing, one person is my new executive assistant. And when I was introducing her, before I introduced her to the masses, right, the ambassador teams and the folks we work with internally, I said, Morgan, give me a picture of yourself and give me 3 fun facts and tell me where you're from, right? And I knew, but I wanted to, and I will tell you, Yolanda, and this is just going to your point where people want to connect. They feel the need to connect with you, right? This is the first time in our setting that I did it that way, that I introduced a person and made it fun and not just about the role.
That's right.
I will tell you, everyone responded back and said, "Oh my God, Morgan!" Like, and they said, "Yeah,
Engagement.
yeah, I want to go to Costa Rica. We've got to talk about yoga," and it automatically draws people in, and that's what people really want is the human connection. So part of branding, right, to your point, is if I can't feel you, I can't follow you.
It's super important. And when you think about what is branding, just to level set with the audience, it's the means by which people remember you. Yes, your reputation, things of that nature, but it's people's relationship with you. It's the way they experience you.
So
And so based on that, that's how they start to perceive you, right? And people do business with people they what?
they
Know,
know,
like,
like, and
and
trust.
trust.
And there
Yes.
are some clients, I know you've seen this too, and I've seen this, who've said, because I can relate to you, your story is like mine. You did what I'm a spend money with you. I want to work with you. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean, and this is where people get confused. You don't have to be the absolute best person to do what you do. You
Yeah.
got to do it well, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's this much about, this is what I tell people, it's this much about what you know.
Yeah.
It's that much about who you know.
Mm.
It's this much about who knows you.
Oh my, okay, listen,
Who knows you?
okay, let me just tell you, this is why I'm getting so excited. Now, let me calm down. I literally just did a video today, right, on the YouTube channel where I literally said in 2025, it is no longer just about who you know, it's about who knows you. And Yolanda, I know you didn't see
I
that
haven't
because you
seen it.
hadn't seen
No.
it. So listen, confirmation, listening audience, in 2025, it is about who knows you. And on that note, I'm on my next question. This is so good. Where is my wine? Okay.
Juicy.
Um, okay, so I got to ask you this. This happens a lot. This question comes up a lot in Queen City Women in Business because, as you know, we have multiple women from all nation, all over the nation who
Yep.
they're in similar markets. And sometimes I will get a new member who signs up who says, Dawn-Nicole, I'm in the directory as a business consultant and a coach, but I see there's 84 other coaches in there. Is that a problem? And I say, of course not. The world is big. We have billions of people. 84 people is a drop in the bucket. Let's talk about differentiating yourself. As a brand, how important is it to not only differentiate yourself, Yolanda, but be able to communicate that quickly? And like, talk to me about the importance of differentiating yourself and how women business owners can go about doing this in a crowded market.
Well, put it this way, if you're not standing out, you're blending in. And if you're blending in, that means you stuck in the people pile. If you stuck in the people pile, you broke. Because guess what? Don't nobody know you. It's that
Right.
simple, right? So if they don't know you, they can't flow you. So the key to that differentiation is really understanding the market you're playing in. That's number one. Because and then if you understand who your competitors are, you know what they're doing well. And believe me, you should know because success leaves clues, right? And if they're being very successful in an area, see where they're successful. But not only that, understand what you do and maybe what they don't do and what is that gap.
Yeah.
And if you will solve for that gap, and that's something that we know that people want, right? Solve a problem, you can make some money. Now, so if you can solve for that gap, that's your differentiator. What is it that you do? It could be the way you deliver something. I used to be so squeamish. This is my intellectual property. Everybody wants your slides, right? Can we have your slides? No, that's my intellectual property. Yeah, that's when you know you green, right?
Right, you really
don't even believe in yourself yet. Now I'll be like, honey, you can have them because you'll never deliver them the way I deliver them, right? That's just a fact. But it's what does that differentiates you? And what I tell people often, whether you're in the corporate space or whether you're in entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be rocket science. And that's where people get so confused. They want it to be something that's so over the top that sets them apart. But first of all, you got to be recognizable. So what is it? I call myself the Brandthrupist.
Yes.
I trademark that, right? And that's what I'm known for. So that's one of the things they go, oh, that's the Brandthrupist, right? But what does she do? Then you have to understand what is that thing. So that's where you can do, that's your unique value proposition, right? What does that look like that's different from maybe the way most of your competitors deliver it? And then how are you going to index on that so that people know that that's your thing? So this is why I tell people all the time, the systems, the formulas, the processes are key because people love a system, a formula, a process. So if you come up with the such and such methodology, and if you have, what is it that's going to make you different than somebody just going to a everyday leadership presentation, right? Because there's some things that are so common. Coaching, however, is huge, but it's a $6.3 billion business or something ridiculous like that, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a $6.3 billion business, I think if you're not getting a piece of a slice of that, that means your brand ain't branded. Period. Right.
And you need to see Branding for Success, Yolanda M Smith, by the way.
Okay, we're gonna help you.
We're gonna help them. So let's talk about this though. So where does the differentiator, Yolanda, in your opinion, need to show up? Like, for example, if someone's differentiator is, hey, we do what we do and we do it faster than our competition, which means we deliver same day results. Is that in the tagline? Do you recommend? Is that on the website? Like, where is the place for people to quickly see and identify that differentiator?
I think it has to be in your unique value proposition. It needs to be in your branding statement. It needs to show up on the website, on all social media. Absolutely. It has to be visible. Yeah. It has to be visible. And not only that, you as the individual brand, you should be sharing it regularly. Yes. So through your videos, there's something that if you just thread it in every video, some kind of way, whether it's the tagline or not, you got to thread it in so that if not, and think about it, 94% of people don't even buy on first exposure anyway. So it's in the follow-up. And what do we say? You got to communicate 7 different times, maybe 7 different ways. I don't know, but it's got to be 7 times. So that means if it's 7, it's probably in this. Now it's 14. You probably do it 14, if not 30. You know what I mean? Because it's so much clutter. So much noise out here in the workspace.
I love that you said that because here at Queen City Women in Business, we have Pitch Pals. And Pitch Pals is a once-a-month thing where people can pitch their program, their business. And I often hear women who will pitch and there's not a unique differentiator. Now, after the pitch, when we're giving feedback, we'll ask them some probing questions, and I'll say, well, what makes you different? They'll say, oh, we offer same day service. Oh, or oh, we'll bring this to you. One lady, actually, a true story, just to make this interesting. She did event and party planning designs, right? And they bring it to you, but that wasn't in the pitch. And I said, you need to put that in the pitch. I need
Yes.
to hear that in the first 30 seconds. And she's like, oh my God. And so
Yes.
I don't think we, unfortunately, innately understand the power of bringing forward that unique differentiator, but it is really important, isn't it?
That's why they've got to have, I call it your brand signature statement or your $1,000,000 minute, right? My mentor said that to me one time, and I like, I love that, your $1,000,000 minute. And in that, they need to know what you do, who you are, you know, it's like, who are you? What do you do? How do you do it? And why should I care? Because here's the reality. At the end of the day, when people are asking you who you are, they're not really wanting to know if you're a mother and you got kids.
No.
They're really wanting to know what's in it for me.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
And so if you have not communicated that within that first 30 seconds, you've lost them. And you've got to catch them at hello. Do you realize that our attention span today is less than that of a goldfish? You can go look it up.
Oh, I saw it. And I was shocked.
It's like, it's got to be so immediate. So that's the thing that needs to be in the headline. It needs to jump off the page. It's not, it has to continually be in everything you communicate so that people start to get it. Oh, that's the lady that give you same day service. Oh my God, you can go to her. You can get it back by tomorrow. You have to help people understand that.
I love that. And I love also, especially when you're in a crowded market, being able to differentiate yourself with it by you knowing your differentiator and being able to say it. Like, you've probably heard this too. People often will say, oh, Dawn-Nicole, that's the queen of strategy. And then someone will say, well, what makes you the queen of strategy? Right. And I'll say, because I'm gonna give you strategy in the real time moment, in the moment, right? I don't need a lot of time. I'm gonna give you real time strategies you can execute right now, right? And so some people can't do that. Some people are like, let me go and think about it and come back with a plan.
And that's okay, but you got to take that moment to do that. And this is the problem. See, again, people historically don't think of themselves as the brand. They don't think of themselves as the brand. Instead, they thought it was reserved for celebrities, athletes, politicians, right? But the world has changed. And speaking of trend, what's a trend? A branding trend. You are the brand. Guess what? And your personal brand is a requirement, not an option.
Ooh. Say that again for the people in the back. What? Your personal brand
is a requirement, not an option. If you want to play in today's environment, you must be the CEO of the brand called you.
Oh,
you
drop the mic. Yolanda,
I should have wore my t-shirt.
You should have wore
your the brand called me, because I got that one, and the other one, I am the brand in demand.
Oh,
okay? Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. So let's talk about, I love all of this. So Yolanda, there are women out there who are winning awards. You won an award recently, and I want you to talk about that in just a second. But before you do, how important is awards and recognition and notoriety to your brand? Because oftentimes, Yolanda, I'm on LinkedIn, I know you are as well, and I see where a woman maybe won an award and she's like, oh yeah, thanks. And then it goes away a week later, right? She should be really touting that award. Tell me how you can maximize and leverage when you win an award or you get recognized. And then I want to know about the recent award you won as well. Yeah.
So when you think about these things, writing a book, winning awards, being recognized and having that level of recognition, the beauty of that is that that's social proof. I call that your social proof. That's somebody else saying that you're good, right? Or saying that what you do has value. That's not you saying it. We have to be able to articulate our value and not feel like we're boasting and bragging, because we've got to create awareness, right? The brand amplification process says awareness, engagement, conversion. But the reality is that if we are not sharing it, then how are they going to know it? So you have to be your advocate. You have to be your advocate. And putting those things out there is adding credibility to your brand.
Yes.
Because you're not, yeah. And so, for example, I just won the 2024 Inc. Power Partner Award, right? That's a big award that is bestowed upon me. That says that this girl is really helping entrepreneurs and small businesses through their personal brand, their branding and business strategy. They don't take that lightly. You have to be vetted. I didn't vet me, they vetted me, right?
Yes.
That adds to that credibility. And those things should be out there, so they should be visible. When people go to your site, they can see that. You know what I mean? They can see it on your social media somewhere. And I mean, and it's not a matter of it just lingering on and on, because it's, again, so uncomfortable for us to sometimes talk about ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, you could probably say, I could say to you, hey, tell me about Cheryl or Danola or something, and you can go, oh honey, she's bad, you just said it about me, oh my god, she's the brandy nut. Now I'm gonna say, tell me about yourself, and you'd be like, oh, I'm da, da, da. You know, we get humble, right?
Yeah,
we don't want to seem that way, but this is what you've got to remember: what you do and what comes easy to you and what you think is ordinary. So it's, oh, that old thing, that is absolutely mind-blowing and amazing to somebody else.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So then basically what we're saying is, and well, actually, let me go back and say this. You know who does a really great job, Yolanda, of touting the brand? And like when you see these award-winning, these Emmy award-winning, these Golden Globe, Hollywood does a great job. They will put Emmy award-winning, and it will stay that for 10 years until you win the next award. And that actress now has the right to command more money, right? Because she's won this award, and it gets her in rooms. And we should take that same approach as women entrepreneurs. And
absolutely.
I know we were taught as girls to be humble. I know my mom was like, stop looking in the mirror so long, you know, and all these things we had to do.
Be seen, not heard.
Right. Yeah, all that. Right. Exactly. Especially heard, because my voice, I had questions and just tried to simmer down. But this is where we need to lean in, and just like the actresses do, you know, Emmy award winning, Golden Globe nominee or whatever, right? And just really, because I know
I think you can use that. I think it's important that people do understand that. I put in my thing, international speaker, 3 times best-selling author. You know, I mean, you have to help people understand who you are, and they're going to do it within seconds. So you've only got so much time before they swipe on or scroll to the next thing. So what can you put in that headline, that hook, if you will, that is going to stop them in their tracks?
Yeah.
You know, what is that thing? And if nothing else, like I tell people, when you think about your brand statement, I want you to start strong. I'm a people growth leader and Brandthrupist, you know, and it's like, what?
And I love that.
What? So you want them to say, tell me more. That's the whole purpose, you know, give them something.
Wait, this is so good. How did you come up with, and I'm gonna ask this question because I think we naturally have great ideas, right? Women, we say this all the time. Women, we can come up with some ideas. How did you come up with Brandthrupist? And then good for you for trademarking it. Can you talk about those as a 1 and 2 part thing, like your ideas, right? And then trademark, protecting those ideas.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I came up with the idea. I looked at somebody, and they were the brandpreneur, right? And then somebody called themselves the brand therapist. I don't want to be a therapist. That's not what I'm not trying to fix you. Look, I'm not trying to fix you. And I kept saying, what do you do? And I said, I help people to brand up. I want them to brand up. And I was like, how can I put this into something? And literally, it's one of those things. It's 3:00 in the morning, and some ideas came, and I just started writing and playing with them. I got up right there and started, and then it came Brandthrupist. I said, I think I can do that. Brandthrupist. Yeah. And the trademark part is, and that's a whole nother ball of wax, because as a part of my tools and my tool chest, you know, I'm very into the legal aspect of things and offering legal services, because here's the thing, you guys, right now, small businesses are losing billions of dollars a year because they're not protecting their brands. And so Me Too companies are spouting up, and they'll take your name and go trademark it and put a cease and desist on you.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, and the other thing is this too, you want people to know you're serious. I run a real business.
Yes.
Branding for Success is trademark. Brandthrupist is trademark. I'm serious. I'm in here for the long stay. How many fly-by nights are there? You got these are just the little thing, the blue check mark by, I'm not going to pay that $15. That's a waste of money every month. No, it's not.
Right.
Because you're the real person. Because guess what? When people see you out there doing things, they're going to get fake pages and try to hack you and emulate you and imitate you.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can protect yourself.
No, that's so, listen, I'm 100% on board with you. We have Queen City Women in Business trademarked. When we launched a new program here in December, it's in line to be trademarked. I don't like, because it takes a lot, you have intellectual property, as you said, and we must protect it. And that's a whole nother segment.
That's a whole nother session. Yeah, we can talk about that too.
Absolutely.
But yes.
So so 3 more questions, and because we could go all night. This is great discussion, Yolanda.
We need some, look, our little popcorn and wine.
Talks on Demand needs its own little thing, right? Some kind of snack or drink. But anyway, I digress. What do you say to the woman though, who she's reinventing herself? She's done the same thing for 5 years. It's not working out for her. Maybe she went through something in her life and she wants to get back out it, but with under a new brand and a fresh start. How does she do that? What does that look like, Yolanda? And what are some stories you've heard of women who've done that? So start first with, what does that look like? How does she do it?
What that looks like, believe me, I was that person. I started my business in 2018.
Okay.
COVID hit in 2020, and I had all those women in my coaching program. While people were not making money, I did very well, because that reinvention piece is huge. And again, we don't understand it. But one thing I say is start with what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Because if you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself, if you do something you're passionate about, there can be sustainability to that. If you're just chasing the shiny penny, then and you have no passion behind it, it's not going to last, right? So I say start with that your passion and your purpose. What is the why? What is the why you want to do that, right? And if you can understand that, because I tell people, we don't chase paper, we chase purpose.
Oh, that's
that it will be everlasting. And if we serve and you serve well, the rewards come. So I'm not chasing the money. The check is going to be there because I'm going to do my job. And so that's if they start there, and then they can see the intersection of that with their gifts and their talents, and they can make that work. That's a huge place to start.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And do you have stories of women that you know of who've had to reinvent themselves for whatever? Maybe they went through a divorce, or, and I'll give you a real scenario here that I think about is there are plenty of couples, right? Women who were doing something with their husband, and then maybe they go through a divorce, and so they're not with that person anymore. And it's like, oh man, it's just me. I got to restart or reintroduce myself. And that can be hard.
The empty nester, same way. Yeah. All of a sudden the kids are not there. What do I need to do? So one in particular was in corporate and really just was getting burnt out in a bad way. Didn't have to leave, but wanted to transition. But she loved gardening.
Yeah.
And so literally I worked with her to build her brand. She has her greenhouse. She's starting courses. Wow. Dottie Leaf was birthed out of that. And she finally had the confidence to say goodbye and left literally in December, and is pursuing what she's passionate about. And already just dynamic things are happening. Dynamic. Wow. And this is the thing. Sometimes we hold on to the fear so much, that false evidence appearing real, right? Yeah. We hold on to that and allow that to handcuff us. But one of the things I just saw the other day, and I just posted it, was that literally something new is going to be hard.
Yeah, I saw that.
And new experiences are uncomfortable. But if you do what's hard now to be easy later, right? And imagine being able to do something you're absolutely excited about. And it's just going to be, you're going to have that learning curve. You're going to have those peaks and valleys. That's just life.
Yeah.
But if we manage through the fear, how powerful is that? Another one of my clients literally left corporate America, started her consulting business. She was having some challenges in corporate America, the microaggressions, she had some difficulty, as I had some of those difficulties. difficulties, but she had that difficulty. And I said, listen, sis, we got to get your brand, your digital platform's not looking good. Let's get you together. Literally went out, started her own consulting business. And all she did, let me tell you, it can take one person to change.
Yes, talk to me. Yes, yes.
Got into a group and networked and literally made 3 times her corporate salary in less than a year.
Oh my goodness.
Because here's the other thing. You have to get into rooms. That's another conversation too. We can't do it today, but let me tell you about the rooms, honey. You have to get in the room, and that can change everything. And so I like the principle of be, do, have. You've heard that. Be, do, have.
Yeah.
And so how do you become, how do you start being now what you want to become?
Yeah.
And do what you know those people do that have what you want to have so that you can have it, right?
Yeah.
And it's really, again, I go back to it. You can be a copycat, but you got to copy the right cat. Just copy the right cat. There's nothing new under the sun. You can put your spin on it to make it have a unique flair.
Yeah.
But this is what you have to do. So first you got to identify what is my purpose and passion and what I can do. How can I marry my gifts to do that and to be able to monetize it? What problem am I going to solve? Who am I going to solve it for? And what's in it for them?
Let me tell you, I'm definitely going to bring you back to, no, this is good. Listen, we're bringing her back to talk about the rooms, the right rooms, and what are they? Because the rooms, and the reason I'm harping on this point is because if you saw the second episode, I think it was episode 1 or 2 of Talks on Demand, we had a story that they talked about where there was a gentleman who built his small business. At first, he wasn't making money. He didn't know who his customer base was. And he messed around, as they say, and ended up in one of the Facebook rooms. And it was like with construction folks. And he just became a listener. He would listen. He would ask questions. He didn't try to sell. And so in the episode 2, they was sharing the story about how he just would answer questions and became trusted and then likable. And then a year later, he built a huge brand just by being in the rooms and being the knowledgeable guy, right? And so when you talk about being in the rooms, I'm definitely bringing you back for sure to talk about those rooms. So before we go, this is so good and we can keep going and going. I want to know, it's 2025. What are some common mistakes that small businesses make when it comes to their brands that you want them to avoid in 2025? What are those mistakes that you see, Yolanda?
First, just thinking it doesn't pertain to them, right? They go out and they think a brand is your logo, your website, your colors. And that's your brand identity. That's not your brand, right? That's supposed to enhance. That's number 1. Number 2, a lack of consistency and branding and putting the message out there so that people understand what it is. And then number 3, they start selling. They sell before they build the relationship. Those are 3 of the biggies. They sell before, and I've seen a lot on Facebook. Oh my God, nobody wants to buy your product. But if you say you fell down the steps, everybody's going to be commenting this, that, and the other. But you build the relationship first. Build the relationship, and then when you become that trusted source, right, and you add that value. As soon as you then put something out there that you want to sell, they're right there to do. They're there, but you got to do it that way. You can't just jump out there and just sell to people.
I love it. That is amazing. And you know what? Timeless strategies that still apply today. I think it makes sense. Speaking of relationships, on our next episode, we're going to have Dawn-Nicole on here talking about the power of building relationships and partnerships. And we met you because of Dawn-Nicole. So that's special. That's right. Where can they find you at? Yolanda, I sense that after this episode, women are going to be just chomping at the bit to work with you, to understand. Do you work with women nationwide? Number 1, how can they reach you? Give us all your socials right now before we get ready to go.
I literally work with women all over the world. Yes, I have clients in Canada, UK, Nigeria. Yes, so there's no boundaries because we live in a digital world.
Come on.
You can find me on my website at yolandamsmith.com, Yolanda M Smith. And there's a form you can fill out. I'll give you a free discovery call, right? We just discover if we're even a good fit, if I can work with you. But other than that, I'm on every social at Branding for Success. And it's the number 4, branding, the number 4 success, because you got to keep your socials consistent so you can be discoverable, right?
That's right. I love it. Yolanda, it has been such a pleasure having you here today. We've had so much fun.
Yes.
I know you had a good time. We want you to comment down in the comments. Let Let us know if you enjoyed this. Let us know if you have questions for Yolanda and Branding for Success. Let us know which one of these stories resonates with you. Yolanda and I can't wait to hear from you. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to our channel and to Talks on Demand. Yolanda, as always, it's been a pleasure. We're going to have to bring you back.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. Thanks.
Absolutely. Take care. And same to you. Take care.